Good morning. I am Berta Sanchez Hayden, Chair of the Professional Fiduciaries Bureau Advisory Committee. I'm calling this meeting to order at 10:01 a.m. This meeting is being held on Wednesday, June 21st, 2023 via WebEx teleconference and webcast. Pursuant to Government Code Section 11133, this meeting is being held by teleconference with no physical locations. I would like to ask our WebEx moderator to please explain the format of this meeting.
At various times during the meeting, we will be open for public comment. When we open for public comment, we will ask you to either raise your hand, which can be done in by clicking the hand button at the bottom of your screen, or by typing the word comment in a question and answer box that will appear in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Dial-in users will be able to dial *3 to raise their hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. Commenters will be given 2 minutes to speak with a 30-second warning.
Thank you. We'll move to item 2 of the agenda. At this time, I would like to ask Angela to call roll to establish a quorum.
Good morning, everybody. As I call your name, please answer yes if you are in attendance. Bertha Sanchez Hayden.
Yes.
Chi Elder.
Present.
Elizabeth Ichikawa.
Yes.
James Moore.
Present.
Linda Ng.
Here.
Great. With the 5 members present, we do have a quorum.
Thank you, Angela. We will now transition to item 3 on our agenda. I would like to ask the committee members and Bureau to introduce themselves. I am Berta Sanchez Hayden, Chair of the Advisory Committee, a public member appointed by Governor Newsom, and I work in legal services. Before I call each name, I also would like to take a minute to welcome a new member to the committee, Linda Ng. Ms. Ng was appointed last month by the Assembly Speaker as a public member to the committee. Welcome, Ms. Ng.
Thank you.
I would also like to thank 2 of our members no longer serving on the advisory committee, Denise Nelson, public member, and Wendy Hatch, licensee member. On behalf of the advisory committee and the Bureau, I would like to thank them for volunteering their time and providing their thoughtful perspectives regarding the Bureau. I wish them well in the future endeavors. Now, I will call each name. Please introduce yourself and add anything you would like to say. Chi Elder.
Good morning. My name is Chi Elder, and I'm represent the Senate Rules Committee as a public member, and I'm based in San Diego. Thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth Ichikawa.
Good morning. My name is Elizabeth Ichikawa. I'm from Solano County, and I am the court investigator on the committee.
Thank you. James Moore.
Good morning. My name is James Moore. I am a professional fiduciary located mostly in Sacramento County.
Thank you. Linda Ng.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. I just like to give a very brief introduction of myself. I'm from Sacramento, retired from the state over about 3 years ago after 20 years of service. I am also a master tax preparer and licensed by the IRS as an enroll agent on tax returns and audit issues. And this is why I select this particular committee to serve in hope to find out more and understand more in the in-depth process and impact of being a fiduciary. And I'm also currently the vice chair of the City of Sacramento Ethics Commission, overseeing the ethical compliance of elected and appointed officials. Prior to this, and I was also an appointee to the Fair Employment and Housing Commission. Thank you very much for having me, and I look forward to meeting with to working with all of you and to help contribute as much as I could. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda, and welcome again. Rebecca May.
Good morning. My name is Rebecca May. I'm the Bureau Chief of the Professional Fiduciaries Bureau.
Thank you. Helen Joffrey.
Good morning. I'm Helen Joffrey. I am legal counsel for the Bureau of Professional Fiduciaries.
Thank you. Angela Quadra. Angela, would you like to unmute yourself?
Sorry, I lost connection. Just got back in. This is Angela Quadra, and I'm the program analyst for the Bureau.
Thank you, Angela. And thank you, everyone, for taking the time to introduce yourselves. We will now transition to item 4 on our agenda. Please allow me to briefly address this agenda item. California law prohibits advisory committee members from discussing or taking action on any matter on the agenda. However, this item offers an opportunity to the public to comment on items that are not listed on today's agenda. Please be aware that the public comment during this agenda should provide information to the advisory committee members and is not meant to be a discussion between advisory committee and the public. Though it may seem at times like the advisory committee members or the Bureau staff are not being responsive, following these guidelines is critical to ensuring the rules of the Opens Meeting Act are followed. Before the committee asks for public comment, I ask individuals making comments to not discuss pending complaints, pending licensing applications, or pending disciplinary actions that may come before the Bureau's legal counsel. Such discussions are considered ex parte communications by potentially providing information to the Bureau's legal counsel outside of the administrative record in a case. The committee strongly asks you to also respect the privacy of others by not revealing the names, other personal information, and conditions of any individual involved in any case or complaint. The advisory committee can receive comments regarding the Bureau's process in general, but it cannot receive comments on specific cases. If you want the committee to discuss a topic not on the agenda, you may request that that item be considered for a future agenda. However, a request does not obligate the Bureau to fulfill that request. If your comment is related to an item on today's agenda, please wait until we get to that agenda item. Comments at this time are only for items not on the agenda. To allow the committee sufficient time to conduct its full schedule of business, public comments will be limited to 2 minutes apiece. Please do not duplicate or repeat the comments of a previous speaker. I will now ask the moderator to call for public comments from individuals attending this meeting via WebEx.
We are now accepting public comment via WebEx. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment in the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users and anyone else for that matter may raise their hand. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. And we're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, thank you, moderator. We will now transition to item 5 on the agenda. Rebecca, please read the Bureau's mission statement.
To protect consumers through licensing, consumer education, and enforcement of the Professional Fiduciaries Act, and promote and uphold competency and ethical standards across the profession.
Thank you. I will now ask the moderator to call for public comments from individuals attending this meeting via WebEx.
We are taking public comment on agenda item 5. If you would like to make a public comment, please raise that hand by tapping on the hand button at the lower part of your screen. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand. You may also type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes. Thank you, moderator, and thank you, Rebecca. Now transitioning to item 6 on our agenda. Are there any suggested edits to the March 15th, 2023 meeting minutes by the committee members? Seeing as no one has any edits, is there a motion to approve the March 15th, 2023 minutes and to allow the Bureau staff to make non-substantive edits if needed?
So moved. This is Chielder.
Is there a second to the motion?
This is Elizabeth. I second the motion.
Thank you. Any discussion from the committee members? Seeing as there's no discussion points, I will now ask the moderator to call for public comment from individuals attending this meeting via WebEx.
We are now open for public comment on the motion. If you would like to make a comment on the meeting minutes, please type the word comment into the Q&A box or raise that hand. You may raise the hand by hitting the hand button at the lower part of your screen. Dial-in users will need to dial *3 to raise their hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests, and we're going to take just a few seconds to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no requests on the motion, would you like to continue?
Yes, thank you, moderator. Angela, can you please repeat the motion provided, followed by a roll call vote?
Yes, the motion is to approve the minutes as written, and then to allow also the Bureau to make non-substantive changes if needed. I will start with Bertha Sanchez Hayden,
Yes.
Chielder,
Yes.
Elizabeth Ichikawa,
Yes.
Jim Moore,
Yes.
and Linda Ng.
Abstain, since I wasn't, since I'm new to the Bureau, so.
Okay, thank you, Linda.
Mhm.
So there are 4 votes to approve and 1 abstain. With 4 votes, that is a quorum, so the minutes will be approved as written and posted to the Bureau's website. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. We would now transition to item 7 on our agenda. I would like to invite Melissa Greer to present an update on behalf of the Department of Consumer Affairs Executive Office. Melissa?
Hello and good morning. Can you hear me before I get started? Perfect. Hello, good morning, Chair Sanchez Hayden and Chief May and members of the Advisory Committee. I'm Melissa Gear, Deputy Director for Board and Bureau Relations, and I appreciate the opportunity to provide the Department of Consumer Affairs update this morning. I have several updates to share with you, but first I would like to congratulate and welcome Linda Ng on her recent appointment to the Advisory Committee, and to thank Denise Nelson and Wendy Hatch for their service and commitment to serving and protecting California's consumers. Our first update this morning will be an update related to the accomplishments of the DEI Steering Committee that have occurred since your last meeting. On May 12, 2023, DCA's DEI Steering Committee held its quarterly meeting in person and elected a chairperson, Yafana Lamar, who currently serves as the department's tribal liaison and is the chief of legislation for the Contractor State License Board, and vice chairperson, Paul Sanchez, who is the executive officer of the Speech, Language, Pathology, and Audiology Board. The committee discussed training, strategic planning, and DEI activities through the end of the calendar year. Providing employees access to DEI training is a priority for the DEI Steering Committee. As previously reported in April 2023, Director Kirkmeyer issued a memorandum on DCA's commitment to employees to increase the availability of DEI courses through DCA's Solid Training Unit. In June, DCA is offering 3 DEI courses, which are available to all employees. We are pleased to report that the response from employees to participate in these new DEI learning opportunities has been significant, and with high registration and attendance numbers. On June 7th, the training course Understanding the Value of DEI in the Workplace was provided and 144 people attended. At this time, 147 people are registered to attend How to Decode Our Unconscious Bias on June 21st, which is today. And 151 people are registered to attend Unleash the Power of Generational Differences on June 28th. As these trainings are being conducted virtually, there is space for additional DCA attendees to attend. They may sign up through LMS. At this time, though the trainings referenced can only accommodate DCA employees, additional training opportunities may be available for board members in the future. We expect the number of participants to increase and that additional courses will be offered in the coming months. I look forward to updating you in the months ahead on the progress of the DEI Steering Committee. Next is an update and reminder regarding in-person meetings and the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act. Due to the COVID-19 emergency, changes to the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act were passed by the legislature, permitting state bodies governed by the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act, such as DCA boards and bureaus, to hold public meetings entirely remotely with no board members required to meet in person. These changes to the Open Meeting Act are set to expire on July 1st, 2023. Absent the passing of new legislation to extend these provisions, DCA's boards and bureaus will not be allowed to conduct meetings virtually after July 1st. SB 544 by Senator Laird is pending in the legislature and would remove certain teleconference requirements from the Open Meeting Act. However, the legislation does not include an urgency clause and would not take effect until January 1st, 2024. Therefore, beginning July 1st, public meetings will be subject to the traditional pre-COVID requirements for open meetings. DCA boards and bureaus should be prepared to conduct public meetings in person compliant with the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act. This includes whether a meeting is held at a single centralized location or at multiple teleconference locations. Each physical meeting location will need to be identified in the meeting public notice and agendas. Board members must attend meetings in person at noticed meeting locations. All noticed meeting locations, including locations where a single board or advisory committee member must be ADA accessible, have an agenda posted, and open to the public. The public will be permitted to attend meetings at any noticed meeting location. Additionally, members of the public need to be able to hear the meeting and participate in public comment from each location. DCA has a Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act guide available. Please reach out to the Board and Bureau Relations team with any questions or concerns. DCA is committed to helping the boards and bureaus to make this smooth transition. In addition, there are 2 mandatory training reminders regarding sexual harassment prevention and board member orientation. Required board member trainings, all DCA employees and appointees, including board and advisory council members, will need to complete the mandatory sexual harassment prevention training this year. Advisory committee members must take the 1-hour non-supervisory training. This training is required every odd-numbered year and is online, self-paced, in approximately 2 hours. The sexual harassment prevention training is available in the department's learning management system. If advisory council members need assistance in accessing LMS and the training, please reach out to Board and Bureau Relations. Also, advisory committee members must complete BMont within 1 year of their appointment or reappointment. We have one last training this year, which will be on October 10th, 2023. As of now, we are considering a hybrid training with attendees having the option of attending in person in Sacramento or virtually. Members can register for this training via LMS. Finally, as a reminder, please encourage your licensee colleagues and friends to consider applying to be appointed to the advisory committee. We are always looking for good candidates, and we appreciate current member recommendations. If you have questions about the application or process, please feel free to contact me. Thank you again for this opportunity, and I welcome any questions from the advisory committee.
Thank you, Ms. Greer, for providing that critical information. Again, we'll open it up if there's any comments for committee members. As there are no comments from committee members, I will now ask the moderator to call for public comments from individuals attending this meeting via WebEx.
We are now open for public comment on agenda item 7. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. It'll be appearing in just a moment. Or tap that hand button at the lower part of your screen. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Previously, we had a comment that was not pertaining to the agenda. And
Moderator, if you could read the comment, please.
Absolutely. The comment reads, where can I find the procedure for attorneys to apply as a professional fiduciary?
And Bureau Chief May, if you could answer that.
The process for applying for a professional fiduciary license is the same for attorneys as for everyone else, and that's outlined on the Bureau's website, or you can contact the Bureau via email if you've got any questions. Thank you.
Moderator, are there any more questions or comments?
At the moment, we have no more questions or comments pertaining to the agenda or not.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, would you like to proceed?
Yes, thank you, moderator, and thank you, Helen. And one last thank you to Melissa for providing that update. We will now transition to item number 8 on the agenda. I would like to invite Harmony DeFilippo from the Department of Consumer Affairs Budget Office to present the budget update.
Good morning, and thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Harmony DeFilippo, and I am from the Budget Office with DCA. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to present the committee with an update on the budget today. I will be speaking to agenda item 8 and the documents included in the materials in pages 8 and 9. Are the slides included, or can I share my screen?
This is the moderator. The slides are not included, and yes, you may share your screen.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, great. Can everybody see?
Not just yet. At the lower part of your screen in the center is a share button. Did you use that to? There we go. It's changing. I see it.
Okay, great. Okay. So the first item that I'm going to speak to is on page 8, and this is the overview of the 22-23 FM10 expenditure projections. So this report includes the 21-22 actual expenditures compared to the 22-23 budgeted and projected expenditures. And over this 2-year period, costs have increased mainly in personnel services and AG costs. For fiscal year 22-23, the Bureau is projected to spend approximately $724,000 of its $1,077,000 budgeted appropriation. Of this, $450,000 is expended on personnel services costs and $274,000 on operating expenses and equipment, your OE&E. With this also shows an estimated reversion of approximately $353,000. So I'm going to share the next page. So the next page is materials, page 9, and this is the fund condition. So the attached fund condition statement is based off of the 2023 governor's budget and has been updated with fiscal month 10 projection. This also includes 2021-22 prior year actual revenues and expenditures, giving you a 5-year view with the out years. I will start with the first section on revenues. The 22-23 current year, the Bureau projects revenues at $648,000 with approximately $78,000 projected for initial license fees, $538,000 for renewal fees, and $32,000 from the issuance of citations, fines, delinquent fees, and other revenue. You will notice that the revenue is projected static in budget year and the out years. The next section is expenditures. So the Bureau for current year 22-23, expenditures are projected based off of the FM10 at $724,000. So it also projects ongoing expenditures with a 3% growth factor increasing each year. This fund condition shows the Bureau fully expending its appropriation ongoing. To the extent the Bureau does not fully expend its appropriation, any savings remain in the Bureau's fund, which will help the reserve balance. The Bureau notes future legislation or other events could require the Bureau to request additional resources through the annual budget process, which would increase cost pressures on the fund. The last section is the fund balance reserve. The fund balance reserve is the amount of funds remaining at the end of any given fiscal year. The Bureau's fund has a statutory fund balance limit of 24 months, but typically 3 to 6 months is considered sufficient. As previously discussed, the Bureau's fund balance reserve is currently declining due to a structural imbalance. This is due to increased expenditures outweighing the revenue. The fund's structural imbalance has been reported in previous meetings and will currently cause the fund balance to become insolvent sometime toward the end of budget year 23-24. As previously noted, the Bureau's appropriation increased from costs associated with the legislative mandates established by AB 1194, which drastically exacerbated the structural deficit. As you may notice, on this fund condition, it includes a control section loan of $550,000 in budget year 23-24. This was included in the governor's budget, and without it, the Bureau would be insolvent in budget year 23-24. A loan will not be required if action is taken immediately to resolve the Bureau's current fund insolvency. The Bureau staff has been working with the DCA Budget Office to identify possible actions to reduce or eliminate the structural imbalance to ensure the Bureau remains solvent and able to fully meet its licensing and enforcement mandates. This has already begun, with the Bureau taking action through regulations with the proposed fee increase. I know that Bureau Chief Rebecca May will speak to this more in agenda item 11. As always, the Budget Office will continue to monitor the fund and provide regular updates to the Bureau Chief Rebecca May. That concludes my presentation, and I'm available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Harmony. Are there any comments from committee members? Seeing as there's no comments from committee members, I will now ask the moderator to call for public comments from individuals attending this meeting via WebEx.
We are now accepting public comment for agenda item 8. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise that hand by tapping the hand button at the lower part of your screen. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand. You may also type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, thank you, moderator. And thank you, Harmony, for providing us that update. We will now transition to item number 10 on the agenda. I would like to invite Daryl Holloway from the Department of Consumer Affairs Legislative Office to present the legislative update.
Hi, everybody. I'm Daryl Holloway from the Department of Consumer Affairs. I'm a legislative analyst there, and I am here to provide everyone with a legislative update on legislation that will affect the Bureau. I'm going to start off by just giving you some important dates that are kind of going on in the legislature. July 14th, the legislature goes on summer recess for an entire month. They come back August 14th, so there really won't be anything going on during that time period. Moving on to the bills that will affect the Bureau or could affect the Bureau, I only have 4 for you this time. The first one is AB 1262. Currently, it's in the Assembly and working its way through. It'll go to the Senate after that. It's the sunset. This bill would extend the sunset review date for the Bureau from January 1, 2024 to January 1, 2028. It's also going to make some minor changes to things that issues or items that came up during the Bureau sunset review process. The next bill I have for you guys is SB 232. This bill was held in the Senate Committee on Health and Judiciary, so it's not currently moving forward right now. It's possible that it could be brought back up next year, but right now this one is kind of stalled out. This bill would expand the definition of gravely disabled in the Lanterman-Petrus Short Act to include conditions where an individual is incapable of making informed decisions or providing for their own medical care or other personal needs. And as a result, that person is at risk of substantial bodily harm, dangerous worsening or serious physical illness, or a significant psychiatric deterioration. It would also specify that gravely disabled includes conditions in which a person is unable to provide informed consent to treatment due to anosognosia. The third bill I have for you guys today is SB 280. It would change some of the rules concerning care plans. Right now it's in the Assembly Judiciary Committee. So under this bill, beginning in January 1, 2025, it would require conservators to submit care plans at certain specific times and to certain specific individuals. It would impose civil penalties and sanctions on conservators for not doing so. And it would require the Judicial Council to develop a standardized care plan form. It would also, it has some language in there about limiting public access to this information because of its sensitive nature. This one is pretty fluid right now. There's some changes that are being made to it. The final bill I have for you guys today is SB 544. It has to do with the Bagley-Keene Open Meetings Act. Right now, it is made its way through the Senate and it is headed to the Assembly. This bill, among other changes, would remove existing teleconference requirements within the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act, and it would instead require the state body to provide a means for the public to remotely hear the audio of the meeting and observe the meeting, or attend the meeting by providing on the posted agenda, like a teleconference phone number or a website or other online platform or physical address for people to attend. It would also revise the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act to no longer require members of the public to have an opportunity to address the state body directly at each teleconference location, and instead require specific means of access to the meeting be included in the meeting notice. That's all I have for you guys today. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you. And I would just like to take this time to correct myself. I referenced the legislative update as item number 10 on the agenda. It is item number 9 on the agenda. Are there any comments from committee members? I would like to ask if SB 280 is on a 2-year track, or if a decision will be made during this legislative cycle.
It's on a 2-year track. So this is the first year of the 2-year cycle. So it's kind of stalled out right now. They may pick it up next year, but right now it's not moving forward.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And if there are no further comments from committee members, I will now ask the moderator to call for public comments from individuals attending this meeting via WebEx.
We are now accepting public comment on agenda item 9. If you'd like to make a comment, please tap that hand button at the lower part of your screen, or dial *3 if you're a call-in user to raise your hand. You may also type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes. Thank you, moderator. And thank you, Daryl, for that update.
No
I will
problem.
now transition to the actual item number 10 on our agenda. Rebecca, can you please present the Bureau updates?
Good morning, and thank you, everyone. Moderator, can you show, I believe it's page 14 of the, a couple pages down. A little further up. Sorry, it's up.
Page 12.
There you go. Sorry, 12, not 14. I transposed my numbers. All right, so the application, licensing, and enforcement statistics are on the screen and in the materials if you'd like to follow along with me. So these statistics represent a snapshot in time between July 1st, 2022 and March 31st of 2023. So it's the first 3 quarters of the 22-23 fiscal year. As of March 31st, the Bureau has issued 1,364 total licenses since it started issuing licenses in July of 2008. There were 848 active licenses as of March 31st, 2023. During this time, the Bureau received 47 applications and issued 39 licenses. The processing time for complete applications for Q3, so January through March, was 17 days from receipt of the application to approval for sitting for the exam, and 9 days from passing the exam to an issuance of a license. For renewals, The Bureau processed in Q3 184 renewals, so bringing the total to 587 for these 3 quarters. Processing timelines for renewals were 11 days this most recent quarter. So moving on to enforcement statistics. So up until March 31st, 2023, the Bureau has received 111 complaints. The Bureau has, again, as of March 31st, 128, has closed 128 complaints. The average days to close complaints was 207. The number of complaints pending as of March 31st was 78, and you can see the breakdown there from when those complaints were opened. You can see we have one very old complaint, and so when that one closes, I will expect the average days to close to increase by quite a bit. The Bureau issued 23 citations in the first 3 quarters of the year and initiated 8 cases with the Attorney General's office. So moving on to outreach events. So I was pleased to attend a local lunchtime meetup of licensees in San Luis Obispo in April. And there's no upcoming events at this time for outreach. If you hear of any events that you would like the Bureau to attend, please do not hesitate to reach out to the Bureau via email. The e-newsletter was posted to our website and mailed to our interested parties list last week. Staff is now working on putting together an end of the year newsletter. And of course, if there's something that you would like the Bureau to report on in the newsletter, please email the Bureau. We're always happy to take some suggestions on what you would like to see in there. For the strategic plan, so I had mentioned at the last meeting that I wanted to bring the strategic plan objectives forward to discuss and strategize over with the members. I apologize, I don't have an update at this time. I still, of course, do remain committed to working through the strategic plan with the advisory committee. So I really do plan on having this as an agenda item again at our meeting, our upcoming meeting in September. And so I apologize, I just frankly have no update at this time on this. Sunset review. So I attended a hearing before the Joint Assembly and Senate Business and Professions Committees in March. I fielded questions from legislators about the Bureau's functions. As anticipated, the Bureau's financial situation and pending fee increase were a big part of the discussion. So after the hearing, as Daryl noted in his update, AB 1262 was amended to extend the Bureau's sunset date by 4 years, and all of the issues identified in the Bureau Sunset Report were included in the pending legislation. So I'm very grateful and appreciative that the legislature is open to working with the Bureau on the issues that it has identified. Certainly during that meeting, I pressed, or in the meetings surrounding sunset review, I've certainly tried to press upon legislative staff that the population served by the Bureau is very vulnerable and that the licensure of professional fiduciaries and maintaining the Bureau is necessary. And of course, as AB 1262 makes its way through the process, we'll continue to keep you updated. So website updates, as I say at every meeting, we are constantly tweaking the website to improve it, improve the information that we disseminate on the website, and always, trying to take down anything that's obsolete. So in the last few months, we have updated the licensing page to clarify that the application fees for retired and inactive license applications are non-refundable. We added study materials to the applicant page. We embedded the applicant video or how-to video to be more prominent and to be more easily accessible. We are currently working, I guess it's in process, we're working on updating both the applicant and licensee videos to update new laws. And we also updated the consumer resources page with current information. So one of the, so my last item is bill implementation. We're continuing to work towards implementing AB 1194. We'll certainly talk about the proposed rulemaking fee increase in the next agenda item. But in addition to the rulemaking, we have continued to mail non-compliance letters to licensees for failing to put the fee schedule up on their websites. We've had very good results doing that. We've mailed letters to the court clerks at all 58 counties to remind them of the requirements, and we've gotten some response back. And we've also included information on AB 1194 in the newsletter and in our social media updates. So that's all I have at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief May. Are there any comments from committee members? Seeing as there are no comments from committee members, I will now ask the moderator to call for public comments from any individuals attending this meeting via WebEx.
We are now accepting public comment on agenda item 10. If you would like to make a comment, please raise your hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of your screen, or dial-in users will need to dial *3. You may also type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of your screen and send that comment to all participants. Let us take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, thank you, moderator. And again, thank you, Chief May. We will now transition to item number 11 on the agenda. Chief May, can you please provide the status of the Bureau's proposed rulemaking?
Thank you. So the Bureau filed a fee increase regulation with the Office of Administrative Law on June 6th. The proposed text, supporting documents, and the information for the public on how to provide comments are included in today's materials and on the Bureau's website for your review. The regulatory process allows for public input, and this proposed regulation is currently within its 45-day open comment period. Written comments must be received by the Bureau no later than August 2nd at 5 p.m. Individuals preferring to provide oral comments may do so at a public comment hearing on Thursday, August 3rd at 10 a.m. The hearing is unlike typical advisory committee meetings. It will just be Bureau and DCA staff attending and will be held at DCA headquarters here in Sacramento. The hearing will be available via WebEx for members of the public who are unable to attend in person. In equal measure, this fee increase both addresses the implementation of AB 1194 and the revenue deficit from a static licensing population. As it relates to AB 1194, the Bureau was clear with the legislature and stakeholders that the increased workload and enforcement costs could not be absorbed and would force a fee increase. Accordingly, after the bill was passed into law, the Bureau asked for and received increased spending authority in the governor's 2022-23 budget. In addition to the cost pressures of AB 1194, the Bureau's revenues no longer keep pace with the Bureau's expenditures. Fees have not been increased since the Bureau began issuing licenses in 2008. There have been no changes to the fees in 15 years, while the costs for maintaining the Bureau have increased significantly. Further exacerbating the imbalance, the licensee population has barely grown. While new licenses are being issued, nearly the same number of licensees are deciding not to renew or applying for inactive or retired license status. As you know, the Bureau's only funding source is licensing and renewal fees. Acknowledging the hardship for applicants and licensees this fee increase presents, this regulation was crafted carefully and as conservatively as possible. The Bureau has elected to seek significantly less than the full anticipated costs related to AB 1194 and to move to a 1-year initial licensing period so as to lessen the upfront costs to new licensees. The Bureau's anticipated insolvency and the need for a fee increase have been brought to the last several advisory committee meetings. This fee increase is necessary to prevent the Bureau's insolvency in fiscal year 24-25 and to allow the Bureau to fulfill its consumer protection mandate by implementing the statutes governing the profession. I will continue to update the committee as this regulation moves through the rulemaking process. Because we are within the regulatory comment period, I'm now going to call on the Bureau's legal counsel to please provide guidance regarding public comment. Thank you.
Thank you. We wanted to advise the public that Bagley-Keene Open Meetings Act, specifically Government Code Section 11125, requires that discussion by the committee is limited to the topics discussed or noticed on the agenda. Discussion of topics not on the agenda by the committee are prohibited as the public was not effectively noticed of the business that would be conducted at the committee. This agenda item is noticed as a proposed rulemaking update as given by Bureau Chief May. This meeting of the advisory committee was not noticed as discussion and comments to edit the content of the rulemaking. As Bureau Chief May stated, the regulation package is currently within the 45-day comment period. Pursuant to Government Code Section 11346.8, which is enforced by the Office of Administrative Law, a regulations hearing is scheduled and noticed for August 3, 2023 at 10 a.m. This hearing is the most appropriate place for all interested parties to submit comments and hear and build upon the comments of others so that the regulation package has the most effective comments for the Bureau to consider. As the Bureau Legal Counsel, I will need to protect the right of the public to comment on and participate in this meeting, but I must also limit the committee discussion to regulations update as noticed and provided on today's agenda and discussion and presentation. I also need to advise those participating today that the best way to submit comments on the content of this rulemaking package is at the regulations hearing on August 3 as set forth by the Office of Administrative Law. The Bureau and the consumers of California want to make sure the stakeholders may submit comments and participate in the creation of law in the most effective way possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief May, and thank you, Councilor Joffrey. If I may now ask if there's any comments from the committee members. As there are no comments from the committee members, I will now ask the moderator to call for public comments from individuals attending this meeting via WebEx.
We are now accepting public comment on the proposed rulemaking. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise your hand by tapping that hand button at the lower part of your screen. Dial-in users will need to dial *3 to raise their hand. You may also type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. As a reminder, you'll be given 2 minutes to speak with a 30-second warning. And our first request for comment comes from Jerry Desmond. Hold on just a moment. We're going to send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Desmond with Professional Fiduciary Association of California, PFAC. And hearing counsel, of course, we will be participating in the public comment period and the public hearing that's noticed for August, but thought that it would be incumbent upon us to provide some preliminary remarks to the proposed fee increase. And to be, PFAC certainly appreciates the continuation of the Bureau and supports a modest fee increase that corresponds with the increase in the cost of living since the fees were first established. But if you look at the cost of living increase, it would be from $700 to $990, not $1,300, on a renewal. So we're worried that the proposed license fee increase is much more than the adjustment, and that the magnitude of the increase will create a significant barrier to entry into the profession with a resulting decline in the overall licensing population, which will further exacerbate the need for additional revenues. We believe that for the Bureau to be financially sustained, either the licensing fees must be substantial, the licensing pool needs to be increased, or Bureau expenses need to be decreased. And we're putting onto the table, and we've had discussions where appropriate, that there are alternatives to a substantial fee increase, such as increasing the licensing pool and reducing expenses. For instance, we're suggesting that the legislature re-examine the assumptions that are made to support the increase due to the implementation of AB 1194 from 2021. We suggest that the Licensure Act be amended to provide that a court order or other determination of an issue is binding on the Bureau. We're urging the
30
legislature,
seconds.
Thank you, to revise the act to clarify when relief sought by the consumer extends beyond discipline. There are other routes that can be taken, and to eliminate the exemption that currently exists, the qualified exemption, for enrolled agents. Thank you for the opportunity to talk briefly today.
Thank you. And at the moment, that is our only request for comment. Would you like to continue with the agenda, Madam Chair?
Yes, thank you, moderator. And thank you to Mr. Desmond, who provided comment. Thank you, Chief May, for providing us that information on that agenda item. We will now transition to item number 12 on the agenda. Angela, what items have been recorded from our meeting today for consideration for future agenda items?
Hi, yes, I have noted that Chief May has stated that we'll be putting in a future agenda information regarding the strategic plan on the agenda. Did I miss anything that was noted? I was having some connectivity issues.
I do not believe so, but I will now ask if there's any other committee member, is there any further items the committee members would like to add? Seeing as the committee members do not have further comments, I will now ask the moderator to call for public comments from any individuals attending this meeting via WebEx.
We are now accepting public comment on future agenda items. If you'd like to make a comment, please tap that hand button at the lower part of your screen. Dial-in users will need to dial *3 to raise their hand. You may also type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, thank you, moderator, and thank you, Angela. We will now transition to item number 13 on the agenda. The following meeting dates have been scheduled for the remainder of 2023. Wednesday, September 20th, 2023, and Wednesday, December 13th, 2023. Please note, due to the expiration of the Bagley-Keene Open Meetings Act exemptions, these meetings will be held in person in Sacramento with no other public locations. If you have a conflict with any of the proposed dates, please contact Angela Quadro. Are there any comments from the committee members? Seeing as there are no comments from committee members, I will now ask the moderator to call for public comments from individuals attending this meeting via WebEx.
We are now accepting public comment on the future meeting dates. If you would like to make a comment, please tap that hand button at the lower part of your screen to raise your hand. Dial-in users need to dial *3 to raise your hand. You may also type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. We're going to take just a few seconds to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, thank you, moderator. And thank you, everybody, for your participation today. Item 14 on the agenda is the adjournment. And as such, this meeting is adjourned at 11 a.m. on Wednesday, June 21st, 2023. Thank you for your time.